looking at is frozen. But anyway, what's going on, Tim?
Right, man, just killing it, loving the day, man. It is beautiful outside, dude. I'm serious.
It's a little hot, but it is.
This would be the day to be on the boat, out in the water, maybe have a little place in the water. That would be the way to roll, brother. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. So I talked to Tim before this call. I was like, we want to talk about, and I've been bugging my wife for the past couple of days to help me work out a plan on this, Tim. So I want to show you what I found, and it came across the news. It seems to be popular in the news because I see it in multiple places. However, there are no bids on this thing, man. So let me share my screen.
Dude, hopefully it's waterfront. Is it waterfront?
Let's see. It just keeps signing me out. I got to extend my session. Here we go. All right. Let me find it. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Whoa, dude. That's waterfront, man. That's sweet.
So look, the Hooper's Island Lighthouse is for sale. It's $15,000, and anybody can buy this.
Wow.
So it's got 21 days left. And there are a few restrictions, but here's the thing. Like, I don't think that we could turn this into an Airbnb.
Oh, dude.
But it's got some exterior issues, but look how cool the porthole is. I'll just click through a couple pictures. So these are glazed bricks. This was built in 1902.
Right.
And we can actually buy a lighthouse for $15,000. I'm thinking we get a couple people together and we buy this thing. So there are a few little rules I'll go over, but I just want to show you the pictures first. It's in very good condition. I actually just read a inspection report that the Coast Guard did in 2019. And they said the main issue with the lighthouse is actually just that exterior spot that needs to be repainted and sort of sealed up, but the interior is structurally sound. It's just this area. Somebody needs to go in and like grind out the rusty part, and you need to repaint this whole thing.
All
right. So, and this door came off. So because the door came off, it says wildlife, and then vandals can get in, but it's not been vandalized. But, you know, other than that, like they said, it's actually in great condition. So Tim, I'm saying, like, you can see this ladder right here. That's how you access it. You pull your boat up, you tie off to this, you climb up the ladder. And what I'm saying is we could put a grill right here. We could put some lawn chairs out here, a picnic table over here, eat some crabs at our lighthouse. And this could be like our summer like chill spot.
Dude, love it. I didn't see a bathroom.
Yeah, I don't know how that's a good question.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that what you would need to do is probably do like an incinerator bathroom.
Oh, I can see that. Now,
so that's it. Or you know, you're probably 5 miles away from land. You could just, you know, the men could probably handle number one, no big deal. And then after that, like, you know, we'll have to secure a room inside, wall it off, and put an incinerator bathroom, or maybe like a holding tank. And then, you know, I think that's probably not a terrible idea.
Is there electric to the house, to the property?
No. So my idea was they have an electric, they have a solar panel up here in order to be able to run the lighthouse, because the Coast Guard still requires access, and this is still an active lighthouse. So if you are traveling up and down the bay at nighttime, there is a light coming from this lighthouse that is still used for navigation.
I love it, man. That sounds really, really cool.
So there's a few little restrictions, right? The first restriction is that it is still in a Coast Guard. It's still in a Navy. I don't know what the right word is. I'm going to call it like a Navy bomb testing area. And you need to request, or you need to communicate with the Navy when you're going to be there, because they may or may not be dropping bombs. So obviously they haven't dropped any bombs in the lighthouse. Everybody, it's still there, but nearby they could be doing stuff. I have been on the bay quite a bit. I don't remember ever seeing anybody dropping bombs in the water, so I don't know what that's all about. But they do testing, and you have to let them know. The other thing is it has to be maintained in the approval of a Maryland, some sort of a historical trust approval process. So you wouldn't be able to like paint it yellow and put your name on the outside of it. You're probably going to have to keep it white. You probably can't go in there and like tear everything out, and you would need to get approval from them. But I'm just saying, if we got a couple people together, everybody throws a couple grand in, we buy this lighthouse, and then we fix it up a little bit. And I feel like it would be, so other idea was Airbnb, because there are a lot of people that have created like exotic Airbnb situations, but I think the restrictions are going to make that an issue.
I think you'll have challenge with insurance.
Challenges.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna be one. My question is what state is it in?
It's
Like-
in Dorchester County, Maryland. It's
So
in
it is
Maryland.
the
So it's
state of
across
Maryland.
from St. Mary's
Yeah.
County. It's closer to the Eastern Shore side. People don't know the Eastern Shore is like very shallow. It's in 18
yeah.
feet of water, but like on the other side of it is shallow. It's meant to help, ships from staying on this side of it, our
Wow.
side of it.
So you couldn't walk out to it. So I guess that's not gonna be a possibility there. And no, I just wondered there's no property taxes, right?
No, matter of fact, part of the paperwork claims that, initially this came with some land, or it's like however they did it, but they're letting you know it comes with zero land.
So no property taxes, no homeowners
Right.
insurance.
Right.
You'd have to create like a S corp or something to make it independent enough that you wouldn't want to having.
Yeah,
kind of
LLC
exposure.
just in case or whatever.
Yeah.
You'd have to, you pay an attorney to draw up some paperwork, make everybody sign a waiver before they
Yeah.
climb the ladder. But like I can see jumping off that thing and like putting a little diving board off the side. It's, it's like
Dude,
20 feet up in
fishing,
the air. It'd be kind of
crabbing.
fun.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be a blast and a half, man. I mean, talk about your getaway of getaways. Now keep in mind, you have May through maybe September, maybe October. You could probably play, right?
So I'm thinking propane heater. I'm thinking I'm sure at one point it had a wood stove in it. I mean, you'd have to get approval, but
Sure.
I'm thinking a propane heater in there. And of course it does. People used to live in it. There's like a lot of people
Yeah.
that have lived in it.
Sure.
So once you seal it off, I'm sure it's got some insulation in it. And you could probably heat it and hang out at your lighthouse.
Now, when can we go visit? When can we take a tour?
That's the tricky part. So
Yeah.
they don't allow you to personally inspect it. You only have 21 days left to decide. So they give you an inspection. You
Yeah.
can drive up to it, but you can't go in it. But they claim that the floors are solid and that the structure is sound. I mean, they gave it like a fair could end up being poor if it's not like repainted. What the main concern is they need to keep water out of it. So you got to shut the door and seal off the rust, which I think could be done with, relatively decent amount of work.
And what kind of accessibility do I have to grant the Coast Guard?
They got to be able to access it whenever they want, but they only go there like once a year to make sure. They have like a battery set up to a light, and it just, they basically would probably own like that very tippity top floor.
Do they pay anything for it? Is there a lease?
No, I mean, no.
I'm looking at investment return, man. Return on my dollars.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how we could work that, but I really don't think that you're going to be
not
able
so
to
much.
pass that by. So you got to call the Navy like, hey, listen, I rented it out this weekend. Like, I feel like that would have to be done under between friends. You wouldn't be able to put this on the internet, like come rent my lighthouse.com thing. That's where it gets tricky. And the other thing is you can't I doubt you can rename it, because that was another benefit was like, what if
The double M. Come on.
all of us like trade off the investors, we rename it every 5 years, like it's the Brian Mayer Lighthouse, the Tim Murphy Lighthouse.
Dude, Brian Mayer found it. I think it should be the Mayer Lighthouse.
They would make the Coast Guard update all the maps.
It's true. Okay, I can see that. So it's historic. Dude, I love that. But now so Brian, let's talk about this. Again, what do you always do? You're always thinking outside of the box. I mean, seriously, who the hell would have thought this or even found it?
Well, obviously nobody wants to buy it because it's still for sale. And I don't know, like, obviously I feel like you're gonna have to spend some money to fix it up.
Yeah.
And Valerie's never climbing the ladder. That's the other problem.
Oh my goodness.
We're not doing family vacations at the lighthouse, but I feel like there's some value to say, hey, what are y'all doing this weekend? I would love to. I can't. I got to go to my lighthouse.
Or wouldn't it be cool to say, hey, you know what? Guys trip, we're going to.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Okay, and you'd have to calculate the amount of time and money it's going to take to maintain it. But I think it would be cool to have a lighthouse to like retreat to and do a guys trip, right?
I think we need to do some research on that one, man.
If we could
Speaking
get
of
10
lighthouse,
investors, what if we got 10 investors? It's only like $1,200 a piece.
that would be wild as shit.
I don't
And
be
then of course the
12,000. It'd be
maintenance.
like $1,500.
$15,000,
Forgive me.
$1,500.
That's why you're the mortgage guy.
Yeah, that's okay. So
Come on. So look, guys, if you want to jump in on the lighthouse, go in the comments, call me or Tim. If we can get 10 of us together, $1,500, you spent money on crazier things. We could buy a lighthouse, divide up the time, go out there, help us fix it up. We'll buy this freaking lighthouse
It's like a weekend in Vegas,
and
guys.
hang
Come
out.
on.
I'll
Seriously.
bring. I got like an extra grill. We'll bring a grill. You know what I'm saying? We'll get some solar panels, some batteries, and we'll run lights up and down the inside of it so we can see at nighttime. Maybe
would
put
be
some
wild.
beds in there, whatever. Like, I feel like this would be a cool place.
Can you stay overnight?
You can, as long as you're there to fix it, which obviously is going to require a lot
Forever.
of days. In my
Oh, good
opinion.
Lord, yeah. That you're always gonna be working on that property. Oh
Yeah.
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 Wow. Okay.
So look, like, hit one of us up. I think we should get. I mean, however much money we get people to agree, we could go in on this. Tim, are you in on the lighthouse?
Dude, I think I'm in, man. I like
How
this.
many investors are going to need to participate for you to jump in? If it's me and you, we're at like 7,500 a piece.
But
Is
we have
that
to
too
create
rich?
a separate corporation. I want to separate this from our lives.
I'm going to let you handle all of that. Like,
Yeah.
we'll throw in a little bit of extra money to hire an attorney. So,
Oh, good Lord, Jay, we'd have to do that. No question about it. Well, speak of the lighthouse, speak of the world. What's going on in the housing industry? What are you seeing?
all right. So I pulled up a couple headlines out of the news.
Okay. All right.
Just in
What you got?
case like nobody wants to join in on the lighthouse, we're gonna have to probably keep working and make some money here.
Yeah, we had
So-
our place in the sun. Ah, man. I hate when that
Yeah.
happens. Yeah.
So the first headline is, when will the housing market crash? This is right out of Real Estate US News. Housing bubble burst is not imminent, but there are some factors to keep an eye on. And this was written August 9th. So this is a current like thing.
Okay.
And the question was, are we in a housing bubble? And it basically, the conclusion was, it's unlikely the housing market will crash in the near future based on current market conditions. Housing demand, housing supply, mortgage interest rates, and unemployment all play a role in how the real estate market fares.
Right.
There is a period of slower growth, not the decline. So another sort of like headline out of this article is that this was done on purpose. The feds wanted to slow down the real estate market, and then increased interest rates in order to do that. They were obviously trying to stop inflation as well, but I think inflation was partially driven by this real estate market.
I agree. I totally agree with that. And Brian, here's the thing. We talked about this before. We're not going to see a crash because there is no houses available. Everybody's got a loan. They got a fixed 30-year mortgage. They got some of the 2s or the 3s, maybe the 4s. I mean, it was affordable. And if you look around at the rents, Brian, rents are still going up, man. It is nuts.
Yes. So I got another headline here, and it says that real estate investors are not fond of the DC housing market.
Ooh, okay. Well, and you know why, right?
Well, I already know why, because I read the article and it did confirm my suspicion, but what would you say?
I mean, DC, okay, so here's the problem with the DC market from an investor standpoint. Really 3 things. Number one, it's a lot of money to get a lot of small space. So limited inventory, very expensive. They're not very friendly, knock on wood, from what I understand, to landlords. Okay, which is, to me, is an important aspect of this. And then at the very end of the game, I mean, there are a lot of restrictions when you're in the nation's capital. So to me, I'm going to buy a little tiny house for $650,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or if I got to spend the same money and buy 2 or 3 more houses in like a ranch club, a Lusby area, that kind of thing. I'd rather spread my money down there, spread the risk, get a better rate of return on my investment long term.
So what they're saying is, like, our housing market's more stable, and it is not at this particular moment in time going through like a rapid increase. So the buy and hold strategy is not super strong. The cost of acquisition versus what you can get in rent is not a good ratio. And there are markets that are seeing a much higher like return on investment, talking about Jacksonville, Florida, and Las Vegas. Those ones are going to be also crashing, I think, because it's like the hotter you are, the harder you fall.
I like to think of it not as a crash, but maybe a slowdown or a correction.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's no big deal.
And the fact that the house prices themselves are very expensive. It's like you can't get, look at, like, so the opposite of that reality, like on the other side of this equation, right, believe it or not, is Baltimore.
Yeah, true. And you know what? I have a client right now. They just bought a 4-unit, it's weird now, a large townhouse of 4 rentals in this property. And
for
Brian,
$150,000 in Baltimore.
Yeah, $300,000 4-unit property.
But do they visit it during the daytime?
They did. Okay.
Do they visit
And
it at nighttime?
they already live in Baltimore, so they know the marketplace. They did an FHA loan, 3.5% down, primary residence. That's pretty
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, invest 3.5%, get an FHA loan. You got to live in part of the house. I mean, Brian, that's winner chicken dinner.
It is. So the next headline is DC is going to offer up to $202,000.
Yep.
You know, and as many people know, I used to be in the mortgage business, and I always feel like these things are gimmicks, because you're looking at that and you're thinking, first of all, if a lot of people took an advantage of that, like someone's going to be spending like $100 million for these DC buyers, like
Sure.
where's that money coming from? But
Well,
what you end up finding out is, like, you know, they only end up using the program, you know, once a month or something crazy. It seems
Right.
more like, it seems more political. Like they're just trying to sort of come up with this way to say, oh, we're going to offer you $200,000. It's like, we're trying to give money back to people. But in reality, it only ends up affecting such a small percentage of people. It doesn't even seem like it's that, it doesn't even seem fair. It'd be better if they just gave everybody like a break on their taxes, like when they purchased a house or something, than go on this route.
Well, and Brian, I think you nailed it right there. It isn't fair. I mean, you can have like 6 kids, make less than $90,000. It's insane, the restrictions. And
yeah, they have a
rather,
chart, right? So it's based
Yeah.
on your household size versus your income. In order to
There you
get
go.
$202,000, you have to have a family of 8. So that would be a couple with 6 children, or
one person with 7. Yeah.
and the other thing is, like, when they do that, do they allow you to, they do allow you to include children over 18, but they would also include their income, right? So it
That's
has to be
correct.
like literally everybody living there. So even if your kid's got a part-time job, that money counts. So 93,000 to be able to buy a house in DC, first of all, feels like a struggle. Like, I feel like where would you be able to even buy a house?
Right.
But you get $200,000.
Sure.
I'm a family of 5, so I could go get $76,000.
Well, so here's the key. You ready? And this is what I want you to think about. You nailed it in the very beginning. Let's have a bigger impact by spreading that $200,000 across the board to maybe 20 families, and you each get a $10,000 down payment assistance loan, right? Or some kind of adjustment to pay your closing costs. Brian, that would be massive. And you're going to create a bigger impact than you are with one person with a family of X. To me, that's not promoting home ownership at all. It's just a gimmick.
If you sell the house within 5 years, you have to pay it back. You do have to live in there as your primary residence. It says
Correct.
payments are deferred for the first 5 years. Does that mean you do have to pay it back eventually?
That's the whole point. It all depends. Depends how long you keep the house, depends upon appreciation. There's a number of factors, but Brian, I mean, you brought a good point. Look, there are programs out there, and there are multiple programs. You and I have talked about this before. The Maryland Mortgage Program. I know you're going to hit on that one next, right?
Yeah. So Hogan announced, this is for Maryland. Hogan announces the increased student loan home buying help through the Smart Buy initiative. We can get up to $50,000 towards your student loans. You and I have talked about this before, but you know, you and I do a lot of deals together. I've never had anybody apply for this, and you and I talked about this a minute ago. Like, there's a strong reason why this won't work for many people.
I've done a handful. I'm not gonna lie to you. In the existence of the program, I've done a handful.
Okay.
And
what's the most you ever got somebody?
30,000. No, 40. I got 40 grand back in, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. But here's the key, Brian, and this is the big picture. You don't just get that X amount of money, 50 grand now, right?
Real quick, what's the most you ever got somebody from somewhere? And like, putting together everything, what's the most money you ever got?
Well, the most money for a down payment assistance is 40. I did get
just everything, like, no matter what it was, not from like a state, federal, like, you put together programs, they walked into your office, and then by the time they settled, what's the most money that was ever like involved?
This is like 15 years ago. Okay. 80 grand.
80. You and I did $46,000. Am I top 3?
You are definitely top 3. You're like number 2, dude. Yeah.
Oh, good.
We remember USDA used to do some wild stuff, man.
Yeah, we got
USDA.
somebody through a state program, then mixed in another program. It was $46,000. So I'm sorry to
Oh,
sidetrack.
hey,
I was just
go
curious.
back. You did the home ability program. Remember that? That was the you did the
Yep.
program to help the disability. Was that the 46,000?
Yes, we
I
actually
remember
used
that.
multiple programs. I can't
We
remember
did.
how it all worked, but
We did. They got down payment assistance up to 20%, and then they got additional closing assistance to pay the closing costs. And then we got seller paid closing help.
yeah,
Brian, it was amazing. You
yeah.
know,
So
the
it
what
really
they
was
got for
more
the
than
house.
46,000. That was just from the state. We got
Right.
46,000.
And you and I both remember how much the client appreciated that deal. I mean, no one else would talk to him, Brian. And here you were being creative, and that's what's good about you and I. We're always like thinking outside of the box, whether it's a Lighthouse. I don't know where
Yeah,
we are on that one,
yeah,
but
yeah.
to the
We'll
Maryland
see.
Mortgage
We'll see
Program.
how
is a
many
UC.
people have replied to our comment when I get off here. I don't have a way to kind of like check the thing as we're
I
going
can't
along.
wait to see. Yeah, we only need 10 guys. 10
Yeah,
or 1,500
we
to
need
beat.
10. Like I'm committing right now that I'm in for $1,500
I'm in.
irregardless. I'm
Oh,
in
yeah.
1,500 irregardless. Now after that, I'll have to sort of like learn more, but I can give you the a whole bunch of I got a whole bunch of paperwork
We
I've
have
been researching.
21
Valerie
days,
is not
Brian.
very excited about this. What do you think your wife? And the other thing is, it's also relative to how much money you're investing. Like if I'm investing 5,000, she's going to be very
But 1,500 is
scrutinizing.
Vegas. Maybe we get a
1,500
weekend.
is like, listen, that's
Yeah.
like grocery store money nowadays.
Actually,
And I get a
that's great.
Lighthouse.
Dude.
All right, so let's go back. There's $50,000 in student loan
Right.
debt, but when you told me the catch, I was like, yeah, that's a problem. So go ahead. How does this work?
Yeah, I mean, so here's the key in a nutshell, Brian. When you're getting this 50 grand, one of the caveats is you have to pay off all of your student loan debt. Let's say you have 80,000. That means you're going to get 50 from the state, but you have to come out of pocket and pay 30 more. That's a lot of money
at the table.
and then it's 5% down conventional. Okay. Then, but now they have down payment assistance in addition to the 50 grand. Okay. And then the rate, I'm just looking at it right now. The rate with the 4% down payment assistance rate 6.75. Now, here's the kicker: you got to keep it for 5 years. If you sell before 5 years, you got to pay part of it back.
And I got another catch, and this one's crazy. And this is why this is such a gimmick, by the way. Come on, guys, listen to this. According to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, the median incomes. Additional down payment. Now it doesn't say it's a restriction, but it says the median income in Maryland would be no higher than 41,000 for a single person and 58,000 for a family of 4. So is that saying that you can't get this if you make over $59,000 in a family?
No,
of 4?
there's an additional closing assistance. You can actually get up to 6% of the loan amount in down payment assistance if you're at or below the adjusted median income, the AMI. But here's the catch: it's 80% of the AMI, and then again, it's based on family size. You know, if you're family 1, it's X, family 2, and it gradually goes up. But that's if you need the 6% closing assistance. It's still pretty cool. I mean, there's no question about it.
Yeah, if you owe under 50,000 and you meet all the other criteria, probably first time home buyer and all that fun stuff. I'm not sure, but
But again, Brian,
you got to kind of fit this thing.
It's another option for clients, right?
Yes.
That's the beauty of it.
All right. So mortgage lending standards tightest in 9 years. And I feel like this is just a headline to scare people. And it's probably some sort of a mortgage industry news headline. But in reality, I would say, and I'm going to guess because I haven't read the article, I'm going to say this probably affects, does it affect higher, like over jumbo? We're talking like,
actually,
portfolio
no,
stuff,
it affects everybody. So
okay,
here's
so
what happens.
FHA,
Yeah.
USDA, they're tightening the standards.
Well, they're making sure that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. They're just being very, which to me is
I've never been a part
prudent,
of a world where
right?
that wasn't true, though. So I
Well,
started in 09 when they passed the
right, correct.
the
And
laws
remember before that it was it was a ninja loan, no income, no asset, no policy.
right.
You got a house.
So I mean, you still have to have documents. I mean, literally, I don't.
Right.
I've never worked with anybody who didn't have to document every single thing, and then they always tell me, like, this is ridiculous. They always feel like so. So I mean, has the credit scores and the time you have to be at your job and the amount of down payment and all
really
that
hasn't
changed
changed
See,
that
I
much.
thought that.
they're just being more thorough. Now, I will tell you the non-QM, which is where the more creative loans, those are being severely tightened up. Everybody thought they were going to be the winner chicken dinner, and then the very beginning of the year, and then lo and behold, the rate was high. You had to show so many bank statements and et cetera, et cetera. And now all of a sudden, everybody's freaked out about the economy, and if things slow down, people won't be able to make their payments. And now I've got this house.
Yeah, again, I just don't think that's
No.
that's like another nothing burger. All
Correct.
right, so here's another nothing burger that I've had a lot of people call me that like so far away when Amazon was coming to Ellicott City or Crystal City or whatever, they were like, all right, well, I feel like we're getting ready for the boom. People all over Prince George's County and just even all the way down to Southern Maryland, they thought that like there was going to be this gold rush and that they were going to take advantage of it. So now they're announcing 60 acres, 900,000 square feet data center. So data center tells me there's going to be 18 employees probably. I mean, I'm sure it's really more than that, but like, is there any companies or government agencies or just like, is there anything you're aware of that's going to impact the housing market from an employment standpoint?
Okay, so let's answer that. So the biggest explosion right now are Zoom homes. And a Zoom home means that you no longer need to work close and live.
I've sold a lot of Zoom homes. I can say that.
So what's happening in a nutshell is that Zoom home mentality. Yeah, we are seeing that. We're seeing people that work in DC and they're living in Southern Maryland. Hell, they can live on a Lighthouse if they wanted to, if they call it Brian.
See, that's another thing. Let me just throw this out there. Anybody wants to get on the Lighthouse, we need to go out there and check the signal. And then you just turn your phone into a hotspot and then boom, we just throw out some chairs, get some cigars, fire up the grill. Everybody's working. I mean, I theoretically could be in the Lighthouse right now and you wouldn't know it.
That brick looks familiar.
That's not even real, right? That's what I'm saying. I could put the same exact situation. These are LED lights. They use like 3 watts of electricity. Wow. I could be in a Lighthouse right now and you would not know it.
That makes a lot of sense. So back to the story.
The Zoom houses or the Zoom lighthouses.
Yes. Yeah. So we are seeing, there was a huge article and they talked about, where when the pandemic kicked in, COVID kicked in, people worked from home and it accelerated the process of people working from home. Right now, what they're saying is we're not going to return to everybody working in an office space anymore. It's going to be just explosive. And that's
a real thing. That's a real thing. There's a lot of companies that are struggling with how to handle this. They have like this little standoff situation. It's like we have 100 employees and we're like, hey guys, we need you all to come back. And then it was something I've read something in the news where like somehow they did something and somehow they were able to reveal their like location. This dude's in Hawaii. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I live here now. And they're like, but you have to come back to work. And he's like, yeah, I'm probably not coming back to there. So I
have clients, Brian, this will throw you off, ready? Who literally were working in Northern Virginia. COVID kicked in. They said, hey, you know what? You can work from home. They moved to St. Mary's County. Guy was making like $130,000.
No offense, I get a call. Why would you move to St. Mary's County when you could go to Florida, like live on?
I have a client right now who literally moved to South Carolina. They did that as well.
That makes a little more sense. But no offense, I live here. I'm not saying it's a bad place to live.
No, but he's living in a house on the water. So let me paraphrase that. Okay.
Yeah.
So my point is, he bought a house on St. Mary's River. That's where he's living now. He's enjoying the hell out of it. He gets a call from his company. They said, hey, you need to come back. And he's like, I'm not going to commute 2 hours. And so he took a job. Ready? Instead of making 130, he took a job making 110. He said, I don't care. 20 grand is worth 4 hours round trip. That's 20 hours a week.
Amen.
Okay. It's worth the outfits. It's worth the childcare. It's worth
all that. Yeah. Dude, and a lot of them are allowing them to do like the thing I heard was they're going to do like 3 days a week or 2 days a week. Like you have to.
Why do you even need to come to the office?
And they even allow them to stagger it. Well, there's a lot of like, they haven't come out with enough data yet, but there's a lot of arguments to be made that personal human interaction is not perfect when we're doing it this way. I can't literally look you in the eyes because I'm looking you in the eyes, but I'm not really looking you in the eye. I'm looking at my camera. So most like people do meetings like this where they're just looking down and they're looking like they never, so Mark Zuckerberg was talking about in the future when we do virtual reality, what they're going to do is they'll put
Wanna
you
be
put
your
glasses
eyeglasses?
on, and then I'll see
Yeah,
you eye to
yeah.
eye, and you'll be able to look at me.
There you
Right?
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there.
So
Wow.
that's probably coming in the future. I don't know how that's going to end up, because I think, it all comes down to money. And if they're losing money, you're coming to work. But I've actually had the opposite, right? Like, so you and I closed on a client 2 weeks ago.
Right.
She was living in Florida, living the dream, had a pool, the life was good, but she actually said, I need out of my house. I need to go to work. I'm moving to DC so that I can drive to the office. And she bought in Port Republic, and she commutes to DC every day. I think she said she was going to do 3 days a week, but she actually was like, I hate working from home. I
Well, I
need
think
to
she
come
liked the
back to work.
separation. She liked the ability to step out, work with her comrades, not worry about anything else.
Yeah.
And then,
So it was
when
like
she came
the
home, she came
opposite,
home.
right? That was like the opposite of a Zoom home. She
True.
sold her Zoom home in order to buy a go to work home.
Well, and she also realized, and this is the other catch 22, is that you have to be careful where you do buy, because the other side is if it's too much of a temptation to be outside smoking cigars every day, it's hard to get any work done.
Amen, brother. And if you got a
Just
lighthouse,
saying.
it's like, listen, I really would like to come make that appointment, but I have a lighthouse that I
Hey,
need to finish painting because it's going to rain next weekend.
I gotta be at the lighthouse.
I got to be at the
Sorry.
lighthouse today.
Yeah.
I'm like, the
Yes.
Lighthouse restaurant? You're like, no, it's my lighthouse. Like, you built a
Dude.
lighthouse at your house? Like, nope, I didn't. I have a lighthouse. It's actually in the bay. It's so like a real light. Yeah, I actually have a real lighthouse.
And what
I
kind of
own it. It's
waterfront do you
mine.
have? You have
I own it.
360 waterfront. I mean, how
Yeah,
many
you
other
can watch the
people-
sunrise and the sunset from your lighthouse.
Exactly.
Come on,
And now
guys.
are you worried about the tide going in and the tide going
No,
out?
because you're like 20 feet above the water. Nothing
That's
can
my
happen.
point.
And you go
Exactly.
inside, shut the door. It's raining. You're totally sealed off from everything. It's been there over 100 and it's 110, 20 years. This
120
year
years.
it's been there. It's
2000
not
yeah,
going anywhere. You'll be
1902.
fine. If you die in your lighthouse because you were there at the moment that it ended its 120-year run, you were meant to die in a lighthouse anyway. It's not a, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, but it's your time. Yeah.
There is one thing. There's one thing.
Oh,
So
okay.
and underneath the floor is where they used to keep the fresh water. It's called the cistern. And the way the steps are, like, I feel like you could fall into that thing and you'd be in some trouble. So I think we need to build a ladder to get out of the cistern. If you fall I wouldn't drink any of the water out of there either. I'm just saying.
It's true.
Yeah, because it's probably got some, like, it's been there for a minute. You know what I mean? It's got some dead birds in it or something, maybe. So
Still, that's kind of cool.
you get a life straw. You get a life straw, you'll be fine.
That's true.
How about
That's
that? We
very
get a
true.
life straw. We can drink the cistern water.
Or we need some way to convert the salt water.
Seawater.
Drinking
Yeah, I think
water.
you're better off with the cistern water. You get the cistern water, you set it out in the sun for a little while.
And it'd be
that
nice to
kills off
collect the
80%.
water. Yeah, if you collect the water off of the roofs and let it go into the cistern.
Yeah, and then like
rainwater.
filter it out. Like you flush out the dirty brown water, you bring in some fresh water, and over time it'll get to be almost drinkable. And then you pour that into one of those Brita water filters and you just watch it come out clean.
Dude, is that not like the life in the, I'm serious, man. How many people have this kind of life? That's all I got to ask you.
The thing is, getting there is going to be a little tricky. It's going to be
have a boat?
A little bit of a boat ride. I say go from St. Mary's County. I would say we all maybe buy or we rent a boat from St. Mary's County. We keep it there, and then we can just go back and forth to the Lighthouse.
So we need a boat. We need a pier slip. We need rentals. It might be a little bit more.
Have a boat. If you already have a boat and you live near the water or whatever, then you don't have to worry about it. And I'll throw in my boat as a potential option so that we can make sure we have access to the lighthouse. And then I could even
Did you
drive people
rename
out
your
there.
boat, Brian? I heard what your name of the boat was last time. Did you rename it?
I'll no, but I know what my next boat's going to be called.
What's that?
It's going to be called Priorities.
Oh,
yeah, it's all about priority. I tell my friend all the time, he's like, hey man, well, I got to work. I said, your priorities are not in line, Chris. Like, come on, bro. You know what I mean?
I hear you, man.
Yeah.
All right. So let's bring it together now. So what are we talking about today? There are a lot of programs out there, right? There's a lot of opportunity out there. And I think
we
that's
only
the
have
key.
21 days left on the Lighthouse, though.
All right, we're counting it down. All right, listen, if you're interested in the Lighthouse, Brian, what number do they call? What email do they
Call
get?
me or Tim. You know what I'm saying? Or you can buy it yourself and and let me just
But
hang
you have
out
to
there. That's
invite
an
us to
option
come
too.
visit. Yes.
I'll help you
Wonderful.
fix it up if you buy it. I'll throw that out there.
That wouldn't be cool. It'd be cool to get Elon Musk to buy it. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That he won't let me go there. I need someone who's going to let me
Oh,
go.
that's true.
I need to like sit there and watch the sunset and the sunrise and the stars. You know how good it would be to watch the stars from the
And
lighthouse because there's nothing around you. The sky,
watching the boats go by.
yeah.
I mean, Brian, think about
Ships.
that, man.
I'm down, man. And
It's
then
tempting. It's
I
definitely
think I think we should get it. But anyway, that's all the news. I don't think there's anything crazy happening in the real estate market. I think we're probably still fine.
I think
But,
we are too, man. All right, we're good.
Yep. All right,
All right,
Tim.
brother. I'll
Yes,
see you, man.
sir.
Have a good one.